Here is your full, uninterrupted first-person American English 2,500 word HOA drama voiceover script, written to grip international listeners and hold retention to the end. No labels, no explanations. Chi, kakit ban dung yu ko. That morning, when I stepped out onto my porch and saw the HOA president's Porsche 911 sitting on jack stands, its wheels neatly stacked beside my garage, its mirrors wrapped like fragile antiques, and the entire windshield leaning politely against my mailbox, I didn't panic, didn't flinch, didn't even blink. Eleanor Price was in the middle of the street screaming bloody murder. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, and I just sipped my coffee and said, "Morning, Eleanor. Looks like your parking privileges finally expired. And if you're wondering how we got from her blocking my driveway every single day to me turning her luxury car into a high-end jigsaw puzzle, every move perfectly legal, then buckle up. This one isn't just a story, it's a slow, methodical takedown. I've lived in Oak Ridge Estates for more than 20 years. Moved here with my wife Marlene. She fell in love with the oak trees, the quiet streets, the way mornings felt like a fresh start instead of another battle. Before she passed, we spent weeks redoing our driveway with stone pavers, gray, smooth, perfect. It was the last project we ever did together. To anyone else, it's a driveway. To me, it's a promise, a memory, a line in the sand I wouldn't let anyone step over. The HOA used to be harmless. Retired folks just trying to keep lawns trimmed and kids from turning the cul-de-sac into a racetrack. Then came Eleanor Karen Price, as the neighborhood quietly called her. She stepped out of her glossy black Porsche the day she got elected wearing sunglasses the size of satellite dishes and a blazer so stiff it could deflect bullets. She acted like running a 37-home community made her royalty. She talked like every sentence deserved applause. And she treated the HOA bylaws like scripture that only she could interpret. The first warning letter she sent me was about my old '67 Chevy restoration project. I'd rolled it halfway out of the garage to adjust the suspension. Still on my property, still on my driveway. But I guess the sight of anything not factory new offended her spiritual equilibrium. "Unsightly automotive work, visible from street view," she wrote. After that came complaints about my recycling bin being visible from an angle I swear only a drone could see. Then she claimed my shutters were 6% faded. 6%. I didn't even know you could see percentages of fading with the human eye. But I kept my head down. I stayed polite. Losing my wife taught me which battles mattered, and none of this was worth losing sleep over. Until the Tuesday morning, she parked her Porsche directly in front of my driveway. Not beside it. Not near it. Directly, deliberately, right where backing out became a precision stunt maneuver. I walked over, knocked on her door, and said as kindly as I could, "Hey, could you move your car a couple feet? It's blocking access." She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "That's community property. I can park there if I want." And then she shut the door on me. No apology, no decency, just pure Karen confidence. The next morning, same spot. The morning after that, still there. I left a note. She crumpled it and shoved it in my mailbox. Classy. She knew exactly what she was doing. This wasn't parking. This was a message: I'm in charge. You're not. I make the rules. You follow them. But the thing about me is, I'm patient. I've rebuilt engines from piles of rust. I can wait. I can watch. And when the moment comes, I can strike with precision. Still, patience doesn't stop frustration. One morning, after nearly clipping her bumper, I knocked again. She didn't even open the door this time. Her voice came through the intercom with that Karen sugar venom tone. "It's legal parking, Marcus. Don't bother me again." That was the moment something inside me cracked, not in anger, but in clarity. I called the police. They showed up, polite but firm. "Sir, since she's not technically blocking the driveway, there's nothing we can do. Document everything. If it escalates, you'll need proof." And then they spoke to Eleanor, who suddenly transformed into Mother Teresa. "Oh, officers, I would never intentionally inconvenience anyone," she cooed. She giggled. She played innocent. And when they left, she shot me a smirk that said, "You lost." The next day she parked even closer, so close I had to fold my mirror. That week we had an HOA meeting. I showed up early. She showed up earlier. She'd brought paperwork complaints she fabricated about my house, my truck, my bins, even my grass height. The board didn't dare challenge her. Every time I tried to speak, she cut me off with, "That's legal parking and he's exaggerating." I walked out of that meeting feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time, helpless. I sat in my car afterward, hands on the wheel, wondering if maybe I was fighting a battle I couldn't win. Maybe I was making too much noise over something small. Maybe letting a bully win was easier than pushing back and losing again. I almost gave up. But then I remembered Marlene, her laugh, her stubbornness, and the driveway we built together with our hands. She'd never let someone walk all over her, especially not someone like Eleanor. So I didn't give up. I got smart. I made a binder, a blue one, and every morning I added evidence to it. Photos, timestamps, videos, diagrams of how close she parked. I logged everything. I researched municipal code state statutes, HOA bylaws. I highlighted sections about repeated obstruction and nuisance abatement. And then I found the gold mine. If a vehicle repeatedly obstructs access or creates a persistent nuisance, the affected property owner may abate the obstruction through removal or non-destructive disassembly. That phrase, non-destructive disassembly, hit me like a revelation. I wasn't going to vandalize her car. I wasn't going to damage anything. I was going to rearrange it. But first, I gave her one last chance. I wrote a formal notice citing every law and subsection. I mailed it certified and watched her sign for it. For 2 days, the Porsche didn't show up. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd gotten the message. But on Monday morning, she returned to her throne, parked even closer than ever. Then she turned toward my window and smirked. Message received. That night, 2:14 a.m., the neighborhood was silent. My garage door opened like the beginning of a heist movie. I rolled out my tools like a surgeon preparing for heart surgery. Jack stands, impact wrench, torque set, microfiber blankets, suction cups. I wasn't angry. I was focused. I slid the jack under the Porsche, found the lift points, and raised it silently. One by one, I removed all 4 wheels clean as a whisper. I disconnected the battery so nothing electronic cried for help. I removed the mirrors with a specialty tool only mechanics know exists. I took off the wipers, spoiler bolts, and panels. Finally, the windshield, a delicate job. I heated the adhesive, sliced carefully, and lifted it out without a single crack. I placed it gently beside my house. By 4 a.m., the Porsche looked like a luxury skeleton. No scratches, no breaks, no damage. Every part was accounted for and neatly arranged. At sunrise, I sat on my porch with my coffee. And then showtime. Eleanor walked out ready to strut to her car like every morning. She froze. Her mouth opened silently for a moment, as if her brain refused to load the scene in front of her. Then she shrieked, a sound so high-pitched it could have shattered the windshield if I hadn't already removed it. You psychopath, you destroyed my car." "Destroyed," I said. "Everything's right there. Battery, wheels, mirrors, windshield. You can pick them up any time. I'm calling the police. You're going to jail." "Go ahead," I said. "I'll get the binder." The same 2 officers showed up. They stared at the vehicle, at the parts, at me, at Eleanor, still in her expensive robe, then asked, "Sir, is this true?" I handed them the binder, the notice, the certified mail receipt, photos, videos. They looked at everything, then at her. "Ma'am, one said this is a civil matter. He warned you. He documented everything. None of the parts are damaged. There's no arrest here." She screamed so loud a neighbor dropped his coffee laughing. Within an hour, a tow truck arrived and carted her disassembled Porsche away in 2 separate trips. I thought that was the end. I should have known better. 3 days later, I received a lawsuit. $500,000. Eleanor accused me of emotional distress, property destruction, harassment, defamation. She even claimed I deprived her of essential transportation required for HOA presidential duties. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. I called my nephew, who recommended attorney Lydia Grant. Lydia had the expression of a woman who wins arguments effortlessly. She looked through my binder and said, "This is the most beautifully organized neighbor dispute file I've ever seen. We're not just defending you, we're ending her." She subpoenaed the HOA's internal documents, and that's when everything exploded. Turns out Eleanor had been misusing HOA funds, waiving her own fines, issuing citations without board approval, and playing dictator for years. When the board realized they could be held personally liable, they panicked. They held an emergency meeting. The room turned on her faster than a flipped switch. Someone even shouted, "Maybe don't park your Porsche in front of his driveway every morning." Genius. Her lawsuit crumbled in less than a week. The board stripped her title, fined her, forced her to post a public apology for 30 days. And the final nail. When her reassembled Porsche came back from the dealership, she refused to pay the bill. The dealership placed a mechanic's lien. The tow truck repossessed it right in front of her house. She watched from the window, silent, defeated, hollow. 3 weeks later, a for sale sign went up. 2 weeks after that, price reduced. Another week sold. And one gray morning, Eleanor Price quietly slipped into the back of an SUV and left Oak Ridge Estates for good. I didn't celebrate, didn't cheer, didn't smile. I simply stood on my porch, looked at the driveway my wife and I built, and breathed. Just breathed for the first time in what felt like years. And if there's one thing I learned from all this, it's simple. When a bully thinks they're untouchable, they forget you don't have to hit back hard, you just have to hit back smart.